Thank you. Good evening. I'm so glad y'all could come out for these tales that seem to have a touch of destruction and devastation and murder and death in them. What a lovely evening we're having, y'all. So I think I'll continue the theme. Once upon a time, about a time and a half ago, this didn't happen, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. You see, Rabbit had decided he was going to visit his friend, Brother Terrapin, one of the turtle cousins. But when he got to Terrapin's house, Miss Terrapin said, my old man went to visit his cousin. They're probably having a lovely time. And you know, you can go on over there because they don't mind your stories a bit. You're the best storyteller around. Brother Rabbit, you go on and you visit with them. And so Rabbit hopped on over to Mud Turtle's place near the mill pond. And it was cooler there than the rest of the forest. It was cooler there on a hot, hot day. And he greeted those two turtle cousins, and they started talking, and they started telling stories to one another, and after a while, they decided they're going to eat a bit of crawfish and talk a bit more and tell a few more stories, but it was still so hot, they decided to use the water at the mill pond. Now, Rabbit said he'd just stick his fuzzy little toes in there. But the turtle cousins agreed that they would climb to the top of a slicky, slidey rock and slide down it till they got to the sharp, sharp edge. And up into the air they would go off that sharp edge and down into the water. It would be so much fun. And the turtles asked Rabbit, you want to join us? And Rabbit said to himself, I see the edge of that rock. I think the best thing for me to do is to enjoy what you're doing as I watch y'all, okay? So Rabbit sat himself down at the edge of the water, stuck his fuzzy little tippy toes down into that water, and the turtle cousins made their way up that muddy, muddy walk to the top of that slicky, slidey rock. And they lay down in those shells, smooth underneath, and they pulled in their arms and their legs and tipped up their tails a bit, and all they had to do to get themselves going was tilt their heads down a little bit, and they started sliding down that slick, mossy stone, and it was worth a bit of a grin. And then they started speeding up a little bit. It was worth a bit of a giggle. And they were speeding up even more, and that was worth a good old laugh. Woo! And off the edge of that sharp, sharp stone they went, up, 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 and down into the water, splash, biggest splashes they had ever made, and they laughed, and Rabbit laughed too. But he just kept on watching them. Now, they just kept on doing this. It was so cooling, so soothing, and along came old Brother Bear. And he heard all the laughter and all the splashing, and he saw those turtles sliding down a green, mossy, smooth, slicky, slidey rock. And Bear kind of fluffed up his long, long tail, because this was the time of the long-tailed bears. And he looked at what they were doing, and he looked at his long tail, and he didn't want to get it muddy, but it was kind of warm, and he was wearing a permanent fur coat, and wouldn't it be nice to just slide down that and splash into the water? Hey, he said, y'all get out my way. I'm gonna do that. Well, Mud Turtle looked at Brother Terrapin and said, you think we should let him do that? And his cousin said, And they looked at Rabbit, because they were too afraid to say anything to big old Brother Bear. And Rabbit knew what they were thinking. He said, Brother Bear, just because you see them doing it doesn't mean you should be doing it too. Bear said, I can do anything I want to do. Can't nobody tell me what to do. Y'all might know somebody like that. Rabbit said, but Brother Bear, turtle cousins been doing this a long, long time, and they know what they're doing. You might not know. I know I'm Bear, and nobody tells me what to do. I do what I want to do. But Bear looked at Rabbit, showed his teeth, showed his claws. Rabbit said, all right then. You go. Well, Bear knew how the turtles had been doing things, and so he made his way up that muddy, muddy earth, keeping his tail high so that it wouldn't get filthy. Got to the top of that rock and lay himself down on that rock. But see, he didn't have a smooth shell. He had all that fur, and he couldn't get himself going. So he stuck out those big paws and those big bare feet, and he pushed himself off, holding his tail straight out so it wouldn't get dirty, and he started moving. And it was worth a grin. But he was picking up speed. Felt pretty good. It was worth a giggle. But he was still picking up speed. And it wasn't quite worth a laugh. Because he was picking up speed. And he could see the edge of that rock, that sharp, sharp stone sticking out at the end of his journey. Down, down, down he went. And he heard smick, smack. And he heard himself say, ow. And as he went up, 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 up in the air, he howled, and the sound went across the forest and beyond it. And everybody knew that something was wrong with Bear, and everybody knew they were going to leave him alone. And down, 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 down went Bear until he hit that water, splash. But when he came out of that water, his backside was smick, smack, smooth. In the vernacular of my family, you spell smooth, S-M-O-O-O-V, smooth. And he looked around for the turtle cousins. Well, they'd had enough sense to walk away. And he looked around for Rabbit, and Rabbit didn't have his fuzzy little bunny toes in the water anymore. He was backing away from the water. And Bear snarled and showed his claws and growled, Rabbit. Rabbit said, brother, your backside is not my problem, okay? I tried to tell you that just because somebody else can do something doesn't mean you got to do it too. And the only thing I can say to you is if you want your tail, it's hanging off the edge of that sharp, sharp rock there. But I don't think you can put it back on. Best thing you could probably do is get yourself a touch of goose grease or mud and just rub it where the sun don't shine. Rub it where the sun don't shine. That's the best you can do, brother. Bye, said Rabbit, and he hopped away. Well, Bear didn't look back. He didn't look to see where his tail was, because he knew that that was the end of the times of the long-tailed bears. And because of that, that's the end of this short tale. Thank you for listening.